This is Fox 13 News HD.
Environmental groups are calling the tour Holly Frontier gave Fox 13 last night good PR and don't think the oil refinery's pledge to cut its carbon footprint is sincere. In fact, they call it misleading and say if their permit to expand is approved, they'll sue. Fox 13's Nineveh Dinha is live in the Salt Lake Valley with all the details. Nineveh.
Hi there, Hope. Yeah, the Utah Physicians for a Healthy Environment is firing back tonight, saying the refinery's efforts to cut emissions isn't because they care about the environment, but because they are legally required to by the EPA. Holly Frontier says while that last part may be true, they still claim they can expand their facility without adding pollution. Another environmental group is also chiming in, saying Holly should just move out of the Wasatch Front.
We've met with activist groups and given them information, and they've basically indicated that they've received the information and they don't believe it.
And tonight, environmental groups like Utah Physicians for a Healthy Environment are echoing that sentiment.
They're skewing the data.
Dr. Brian Minch says the improvements Holly Frontier touted on the tour were all requirements negotiated between the EPA and the refinery. The Utah Division of Air Quality told Fox 13 the consent decree was a legal agreement made back in 2008. The Environmental Protection Agency claimed Holly violated federal standards and said make changes to cut emissions and will call it good.
Holly is trying to bundle this whole project with previous pollution reduction technology applications that they were required to do by the EPA back in 2008.
Despite the criticism, Holly is moving forward with its plans to expand. They want to double the amount of crude oil brought to the Woods Cross facility by 2017. The holdup? The refinery is waiting on the DAQ to approve the permit. And if it goes through, expect a lawsuit from activists.
If the state won't step up to protect public health, then we intend to try and do that.
Meantime, Utah Moms for Clean Air is putting a proposal together for the governor on how to help the state's air. One suggestion?
Going to be necessary down the line is to actually relocate the refineries. And I think that it is appropriate to have this publicly subsidized because it's in the public's welfare.
Sharice Udell's voter-approved bond could help pay for refineries along the Wasatch Front, like Holly Frontier, to move.
In a way, these are very bold suggestions. I totally get that. This is like new. I mean, when we went through this report, we were coming up with all ideas, putting all ideas.
And while Holly Frontier told us what keeps them in business is the public demand,
We provide a valuable service that people need transportation fuels, and that's what we provide for them.
Dr. Minch says don't be duped.
If there's anybody here along the Wasatch Front that thinks that this is needed in order for them to have an appropriate supply of gas or even a decent price of gas, this project has nothing to do with that. It will not affect that in any way, shape, or form. What it will do is it'll make a lot of money for Holly.
Now, the expansion of Holly Frontier is all very preliminary because the DAQ has yet to approve that permit. And if they do, the Division of Air Quality says they know they may face a legal challenge. Hope, back to you.
All right, so Nineveh, where do these environmental groups suggest the refinery go?
Well, you know what? Again, Hope, they admit that this is a very bold idea, and that's what it is right now. It's just an idea, but as you heard Sharice Udell with Utah Moms for Clean Air, she's suggesting that Holly Frontier move to a less populated area in Utah and that taxpayers subsidize part of that move. Holly Frontier says they've heard this suggestion made before time and time again, and they say that it's pretty much impossible to move their facility.
All right, we'll see what happens. Nineveh Dinha, thank you.
Nice to see the city lights behind Nineveh out there. And
nice to see Nineveh.
nice to see Nineveh, too.